there, this is Mary Houle, gardening from Richmond, Vermont. We're a solid zone 4, and right now it's January 2025. Happy New Year. I'm going to do a couple of late planting tips, but it's still very viable and we will have good results come spring. This is kind of unusual, and I invented this myself. Feel free to copy it. These are packing tubes. And one of these is from the kitchen paper towel from an industrial roll, not the home ones. The home ones squash too easy. And I don't use toilet paper rolls because those squash too easy. So I put some toilet paper, yes, in the end of this tube. This was a 24-inch tube that I cut in thirds. So what I do now is, without making too much of a mess, I throw in some potting soil. I'm using Scott's. I had to bring that in to thaw out a couple days ago. And in that tube, I'm putting in not 1, not 2, but 3 acorns. And then on top of that, what is she doing? I'll put soil to about halfway up that tube, and I'll just pack it down. Now, I'm not going to fill them all right now, but what the idea is, the toilet paper that I stuffed in the bottom is going to be enough to hold things from falling out until I set this in its permanent location. So my plan, and it will work, I've done this before on a smaller scale, but again, I did invent this. I'm going to fill this pot with the soil tubes. Again, it's got the toilet paper in the end to hold the soil. Put some soil in, put in not 1, not 2, but 3 acorns, because 1 is likely to be viable, all 3 perhaps not. I'm going to fill this up, and then when I've got it full of my tubes, I'm going to put more soil over the top of the entire container, and chicken wire. Chicken wire is to keep the rodents out. So my intention is, once these start showing the, well, when the acorns break seed and start setting up shoots, if I get 1, I'll be thrilled. But what I do after they've sprouted is I take the entire container to its location, whether it's 1 pot and I fill it full of soil, but I never take the tube off. The tube will disintegrate. It's just cardboard. So I can take this to its location that it's going to be for a permanent time frame, or I can set it into another pot for a year. Seems like a long time, but if you haven't decided where you're going to put your oak tree, because those last a long time, you might want to just set it in a pot, fill it with soil, and just let it grow for a year. Keep it out of where the rodents might get after it, because even though you've taken all the care and put the chicken wire over the top, they're still going to try to chew stuff. That's their method. They do that all the time. So the next thing I'm going to show you, so that's what you would do with acorns. You can also do that with black walnuts. Now, I have a black walnut tree, and I give away most of my black walnuts because a lot of people like them, and they'll use them for dye, or they'll use them for the nut themselves, and then somebody used them, they cut them in half and use them as a Christmas decoration. When you cut the black walnut in half, it makes a heart shape, and some people call it heart nut, which I think is just quite sweet. So I'm putting soil in the bottom of this container. Again, it's January, but don't worry, it'll work. Then what I'm going to do is, look, daffodils. Now I think I'm going to put in a little more soil. Get 2 hands, because I don't want to have to replant this. So I'm going to plant daffodils. And why am I planting daffodils now? Well, I didn't plant them before. I thought I'd get into record a video on this, and here we are. But these daffodils are going to be viable for spring. So what I'm doing now, pardon the crinkle, is all the daffodils are showing signs of life. That little sprouty thing right there, that means this is viable. Now, I kept these in the garage, and I guess it was about, I think the coldest it got was about 40 degrees. So I'm planting this entire pot of daffodils. Remember, the green side goes up. If you laid them on the side, the plant knows which way to go up. But you know, you try to ride your horse in the direction it's going, so the green side goes up. Now, on top of that, I'm going to put more soil. And I'm going to put maybe 4 inches of soil. When you plant a daffodil, if the daffodil is 2.5 inches, you want to plant it at least 4 inches deeper than you expect it to emerge. So it'll still emerge if you put too much soil on it, because that's the nature of things that grow. They just want to go to the light, don't we all? So that's that for the daffodils. Now I could mix it up a little bit more, which I think I shall. Little crinkle now. And this is a bag of tulips. So these tulips are also going to be introduced. The pointy side up, and I'm going to do the same thing. Now, why am I planting one on top of the other? You can do this in the environment as well. It doesn't just have to be in Mary's pot on the table, but you can put the bulbs at different levels. Quite often you'll see an array of bulbs planted, and yep, that's right side up. And you'll see the daffodils emerging, and then in the same area you'll see the tulips emerging. I try not to use crocuses, because crocuses are surface, they're planted pretty close to the surface, and they bloom ahead of any of these others. So crocus kind of get lost in this. So now I'm putting about 2 inches of soil over the top of that. Now, I don't need to water this in right now because this soil is quite moist. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my garage, and I'm going to keep it in the 40-degree range. And I think in about the beginning of February, I'm going to bring this outside. Now, I'm not going to bring it out and set it in the garden, but I'm going to set it close to the foundation. The reason I'm setting it close to the foundation is because I don't want the bulbs to immediately freeze solid. When I plant them in the town green, or at the volunteers green, or in the outside gardens, I plant them early enough so that it's a very slow frost when the ground freezes, and it gives the bulbs a chance to start to develop roots. And that's what this is going to do. This pot is going to start developing roots in the 40-degree basement weather, and then in February I'm going to put it out close to the foundation. So it will still get the necessary freeze for it to emerge. That's the stratification, if you will, of a bulb. So this is just about ready to go. I'm going to fill the rest of these tubes with soil, and 3 acorns each, top those with soil. So this is going to be just a grand show come spring. So that's it for that one. A couple of the other ideas that I have, I've seen some things on videos online about starting seeds in winter. I think it's called winter sowing. This is an example of something that you might do for winter sowing. This is sweet pepper. It's kind of past its prime. And what I'll do is, this is a recycled container from oatmeal. And what I'll do is I'll just set this whole thing in my compost pile, just as it is. And what will happen is, over the winter, I throw more compost over it. And come spring, because it's in that container, I know that that's a pepper. That's something that I planted. If it starts emerging in the circle where I put it in the compost pile, I know very well that that's something that I was responsible for. And even though this is a pepper that I got at the grocery store, it's not going to be true. It won't necessarily be a red pepper. It's probably not going to be a hot pepper either, but it's not going to be true, because I'm pretty sure these are hybrid. And I just like to try things, especially with that pepper with the seeds in there. The seeds, those seeds are going to be viable. I've opened up a pepper as gone by as that one and found some of the seeds actually starting to sprout. So I think that's a viable effort. This is an example of a recycled container. This is, you might recognize it as a cherry tomato container. So what I'll do is I'll put some soil in there, and I could put that pepper right in here and let that sit in my compost pile. And when spring comes, that's going to develop. And those seeds are not going to emerge until Mother Nature says it's time for them to emerge. To keep some of the things that you have segregated away, if you wanted to say, okay, I'm not sure I want that, that pepper's going to be there, and I'm going to put another pepper there, or maybe tomato seeds in there. You put the soil around there, and then I put the lid on it, again, primarily to keep the rodents around. But in the wintertime, you don't need the air circulation that you would need in the rest of the season. So that's how I would do some winter sowing. And again, when these sprout, you have to wait until all danger of frost is past before you transplant it into the main garden. Some other examples of things that you can use that might be in your crisper. Oh no, that onion's gone by. Well, this onion planted, even now, I won't put it in here, but I can put it in a pot similar. This will give me 3 onions because it's already started 3. And even though the bulb is a little soft right now, it will still form up. If you planted these gone by leeks, I would set them in water for maybe 24 hours to develop a little viability and then plant them. I will not get leeks the first year. I will get leek seeds. Sometimes we kind of let our scallions go by, but not to fear, you can make these viable again. Although these roots are somewhat dry, there are a couple that are quite tender. So if you were to set these in a cup of water for 24 hours, I'd cut back some of the tops of the scallions and get ready to, you can actually put these right on top because these scallions are going to grow all winter long. I have some growing outside now in a pot, and the tops are green. A little snow on them today, but the tops are green, so I know that they're viable. And scallions, as well as leeks, as well as onions, you can harvest the top at any time to use them. But it's just the idea that even in a cold Vermont winter, you can have something green growing in your garden. So, pot yourself up some things. You can do some winter sowing, protect them from the rodents. Use any kind of container that you want. Let me show you one more thing that's kind of unique to me. This is just a flat. This is probably, this looks like I might have got 12 cans of beans in this or something. This is totally cardboard. I don't see anything but a little bit of ink on the side. You can set this in your garden where you want it. I would set it where you need it to be, or transport it in something that's very stable. Put your soil in here. You can start sowing seeds on this right now. If you wanted lettuce in the spring, this is a good thing to do. Or in the springtime, when you're starting your seeds, you would use this the same way. What? Use the box. You don't have to take anything out of here. If you just go by the 12 circles on the bottom here where the can of beans used to be, you can plant 12 broccoli. You can plant 12 cabbages. And as they start to grow and develop, you would want to take perhaps every other one out and plant them somewhere else. But this whole box can set in the soil in your garden and it will disintegrate. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I have to take it out. No, just leave it as it is. Some other great containers to use. These you get when you go to your garden center, when you buy plants, and even I buy plants. I don't rely on everything that I grow. So this is, obviously, it's full of holes, but this is great for something like this because this is going to support the container. Another great container is this. And if you got these are about $5 each, but the novelty of these is you will have them for 15 or 20 years, or maybe longer. This is from it's from Greenhouse Megastore online, and I got 10 of these, and I will set these containers in this, and again, no holes, so I can water it. There's a little gap on the side here, so I can use my direct watering spout and water in here. And what I will accomplish is I will water this or any of the seeds that I have in there, like those pots, for example. If I put those in here and I watered from the bottom, I'm not disturbing the seeds. And once you get seeds started, unless you're transplanting them, you just kind of let them stay. So if you watered from the bottom, there's less trauma and less chance for bacteria to come up onto the plants. So watering from the bottom is a good idea. And these containers, again, they'll last you 15 or 20 years. No holes, carry things in the garden. They're sturdy enough so that you can carry your harvest into the house. They're very convenient, and I get them in the bright colors, so I never lose them. I think that's it for this episode. So I look forward to having a great harvest out of this, and I'm looking forward to those acorns. So that's it for today. Happy gardening.